I'm not going to try to say something in the way that is the first thing that comes to mind. You know what I mean? Unless the first thing that comes to mind is witty, unpredictable talent and natural game. You know what I mean? It's like it has to be dope. I can't just, it's a cop out, for me to say, I'm Top Gun like Tom Cruise. You know what I'm saying? So I got to flip it in a way that's going to make you think, and that's going to be visual. That's going to conjure up a specific imagery. The initial inspiration came from a track that, Sean C was just scrolling through, and he had like a bare bones idea of this magnificent joint. Something about, like the bass line, the use of the I'm the Magnificent sample, which is just a classic sample, really put me in the mind of Special Ed. The use of UFO, which is also just some classic hip hop shit. It took me back. It felt, familiar and nostalgic. I hurt myself to see if I could feel. Then I began to pray to see if God was real. I said, all seeing, reveal to me that which is concealed. Something told me that I probably shouldn't be behind the wheel of that Bonneville. I was still feeling kind of ill, not a dollar bill. Time to kill, trying to sign a deal. Long days, longer nights, uncertainty. I know right now we're living in uncertain times, but those times were uncertain in a different way. Not knowing where my next meal is coming from, having to sometimes choose between a nickel bag of weed or, some eating that night or whatever. A lot of time to kill, just the amount of time that I had on my hands, to sort of think and to sort of, wallow in that space. 10 years before State Prop was Rock La Famille, I was popping pills, unaware that still sharp and still I've grown, dropping my popular B-boy poems. Took me to Amiri Baraka from Leroy Jones, to Haj Malik Al Shabazz from Detroit Red, and to the polar opposite of what your report said. Amiri Baraka and Malcolm X are just two of a long list of revolutionary minds that had a huge impact on the way I think, the way I feel, and the way I create. The fact that I speak about, the journey, like their journey, their evolution. It's never too late to evolve. It's never too late to change. You know what I'm saying? Like before Malcolm X was Malcolm X, he was Detroit Red. You know what I'm saying? Before Amiri Baraka was Amiri Baraka, he was Leroy Jones. And before Black Thought was Black Thought, he was, Tariq Trotter from South Philly. You know what I'm saying? So it just speaks to that same sort of evolution. When me and Spawn Art was playing our part, creating con art too, curating fine art. Now a nigga's a monarch. The torch head was force-fed. Look how the flames flicker. Now if it's what Thor said, you know the name quicker. And I was thinking about, how I began as a graffiti writer, a graffiti artist. And, thinking about the first time that I was arrested, at 12 years old, thinking about having to beat cans of paint or, steal spray cans of spray paint when I was a young dude. Not only, con art in the sense of aerosol art, but also being a con artist. You know what I mean? I used to, work a job where I would get paid on Friday and I would take my check and cash it and then put my money together with another dude that worked in the same spot. And we would go out and do like the 3-card money and, all types of little, scams. Like I was very much a hustler as a young person. Spawn Art is one of my best friends. We went to high school together. We went to college together. He's now my longtime engineer, and that's who was engineering my vocals on that day. So it speaks to him, you know what I'm saying? My homie, his name is Spawn, but his company is called Spawn Art. So yeah, that was all of that, just tied in. The big homie in the Smithsonian. I'm a ox, yo, the box niggas can't throw me in. The punishment I'ma hit him with is draconian. It's in me. Muscle memory is Pavlovian, the magnificent with the tinted skin tone. Ain't nobody fucking with me. Keep them in the friend zone. I realize it's a unique space that I'm able to occupy. And I'm always trying to think of just a dope way to refer to, being black. You know what I mean? Heavily melanated. You know what I'm saying? My skin tone, I'm a war machine. My skin tone is aubergine. Skin the color of carbon. Sometimes I do the I'm black likes. You know what I mean? I'm black like this, I'm black like that, or I'm so black that. And it's just something that I enjoy because it's a challenge to myself that I'm able to rise to try and think of an analogy for blackness that has yet to be used. I'd be closer than my enemy, which I depend on for that motivation. That's what keep a nigga in vogue. Finger full of Flintstones, louder than the motherfucking pimp clothes. Haters, I am the weapon the Lord formed against those. I prefer the law of mathematics over Jim Crow's. The law of mathematics speaks to just reality-based information that has been shown and proven. And if there's any law that I'm going to abide by, it's going to be, I guess the law of gravity. I'd rather move in that way than, to make myself small and to dumb down my magnificence and my brilliance to adhere to not only this country, to adhere to really, the world's misappropriation of history, the world's history of, sort of rewriting the origin and evolution of Africans and people who are part of the African diaspora. My pros keep them devils jumping out the windows. The man telling you shams to go to hell if you a goddamn pyramid scam evangelical. The origin of my grace is unavailable, but you would know the name of the place is Illadelph if you a real one. Before we, decided to say what could we call Philly, other than Philly or Philadelphia, that didn't exist. So it's really claiming ownership to that jargon, to that slang. You know what I'm saying? Which is that's some hip hop shit too. It's quintessentially hip hop to think of a illa name for where it is that you come from. And what name is illa than Illadelph? Got the bop gun loaded up to kill one. Drop cruising like Top Gun through Brazil when your net worth is millions. People too familiar, my network is real young. Careful where you chill, son. I'm the magnificent. Stay playing with them bad bitches is Dilla Slum Village, Mac Nicholas. People know my style nasty as black licorice. Telephone stack sickening, that's nigga rich. Don't make me burn your wings off like the Icarus. The Lord take away the same thing he giveth us. The Icarus is a character that appears in Greek mythology. And my usage is about how I am the sun. You know what I mean? I am the light. I am all seeing and all powerful. And I am that bright and that wise, that when I shine, you know what I'm saying? If you get too close to me, or if you get close to me with the wrong intentions, you might think you fly, but I'll burn your wings off. Temptation do not lead. Please deliver us. When you a beast, you kind of cease to give a fuck. You stop listening. Please tell me not this again. Beg and bring back Black, the block missing him. To murder tracks right in front of mad witnesses. 44 magnificent, what the business is. 44 was definitely a nod to the 44th POTUS. And, the relationship, the roots, we were during the Obama administration, we were essentially the go-to band for not only White House events, but, even before Obama was elected, we was rocking out, doing concerts while he was still campaigning, and we were hugely supportive in that way. And, love it or hate it or whatever, I feel like he was, just what he represents, or what he represented for us as a leader was brilliance, was magnificence, was excellence. And, that's the note that I wanted to sort of end on. We're about to put out Streams of Thought Volume 3, but Volume 4 is done. I got another album called Dangerous Thoughts with myself and Danger Mouse. That's done. I gotta, it's a bunch of shit. Some stuff coming down the pipeline that I don't even want to speak to yet, but I have, very many bodies of work, each of which sounds and feels, distinctively different.